Well, hello, everybody. This is Russell Hill, your host of What the Fixed Ops, WTF. I know you've heard that before. It's like, I know what you're thinking, which is why we created the acronym that we did, WTF, What the Fixed Ops. So we're really excited today. We got a freaking amazing show. Can't wait for you. You can see him right now, but I'm not going to introduce him, okay? I'm also the co-founder and managing partner of FixedOPS Marketing, as well as the FixedOPS Institute, which a lot of you are starting to hear about. You're going to hear much more about on July 6th, because I know you're going to tune in, register, and you're going to see this amazing super forum with some 9 awesome people. And of course, I couldn't even do this without, who am I joined with today?
I'm Charity Dunning. I am the co-host here at What the Fixed Ops. And before I introduce our guest to you today, I have to give a shout out to our sponsor, WYNN'S. With over 80 years of experience in innovation, WYNN'S leads the industry with product and system innovations that drive vehicle performance and longevity. People who love cars love WYNN'S. Check them out. There's a link in the description below. Now, I want to introduce you all to our guest today. Great guy. His name is Barton Harris. He is the VP of Strategic Partnerships at Ikon Technologies. Barton, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Russell and Charity. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. Well, introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a fancy title, VP of Strategic Partnerships. Who am I? Just a sales guy. I started out selling cars in 2001. So 4 years in the Navy. Went to San Diego State. If you can believe it, all the time in the military, and then in school, I landed a job at a restaurant as a waiter, and I'd work these 8-hour shifts, and I'd go home with like $200. But of course, if you've ever worked in the service industry, you know that at like 11:30 or 12, you want somebody to wait on you, right? And so then we go and we'd have beers at the bar, and I'd get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and that $200 was like $100. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And my parents' neighbor was a desk manager at a place called Budget Car Sales. Why pay the difference if you can't see the difference? And he said, you should come and sell cars. And I thought, well, I don't know, so I really care to sell cars, but I mean, I'll give it a try. And Russell, what a disaster this place was. We didn't even have prices on any of the cars. In fact, I never even knew what a price was on a car. All we had was a buyer guide, and it was one jicky dealership. Like we did sales where it was buy one get one free. You were basically told, like, just go find a car that the customer wants. I mean, there was no really pre-qualification. Well, I'm as much of a consumer as I am a sales guy, so I'd take them to the cars that I thought were cool, even though the customer might say, I need to be around $200 a month. I'd take them to a brand new Tahoe, 4-wheel drive LT. It's like payment's going to be $800-900 a month. Get them sold on the car. They couldn't even get qualified. So, but I will say, my 3rd month in the business, like a lot of folks, I made a 5-figure commission check, and I was locked and loaded, and that was it for me. And from there, I went into the OEM space at a Mercedes-Benz and Volvo dealership, and really that's where I began to figure out that I had to market myself instead of waiting for the store to market itself to provide ups and leads for me to work and cars to sell. So I just remember I was so broke. I went to Ruth's Chris, and I gave the bartender $20 for one vodka soda. And then I said, can you just please fill this up with soda water? Because I don't have any more money. But I knew that's where the rich people were. And so I'd go in there with a stack of business cards, and I did some other fun marketing things. One of the things I tell salespeople when I meet with them now is I say, hey, if you really want to differentiate yourself, when your customer goes into the finance office to complete their paperwork, sit down, do a handwritten thank you note, and put a $2 bill in there. And all the salespeople look at me and go, well, I don't want to spend $2. I'm like, look, and you sell 20 cars a month. It's a $40 investment. What your customer won't do is spend the $2 bill because they're so unique. I said, but what they will do is throw away your business card. And so after about 6 months, there were people that were coming in saying, I'm just trying to find the guy that's giving out the $2 bills. And so, fast forward a few different gigs like most, but my last retail gig was with the Van Tile Group at Arrowhead Cadillac at 83rd and Bell, and then was there through the Berkshire Hathaway acquisition. I was recruited out of finance by a company called Spirion, which purchased the LoJack name to manage the Berkshire Hathaway relationship in the connected car space. And I've lived in that world for the last 8 years. So that's who I am.
That's great. Listen, Barton, thank you. First of all, Navy guy, thank you for your service.
Sure.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's this thing going on right now. I'm fixing to start participating today in that a lot of people are doing is 22 veterans die a day from suicide.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing 22 push-ups for 22 days for the 22 veterans. I myself am a veteran as well and had a similar brush with those thoughts and those demons back in the day. But listen, so I also worked for Van Tile back in the day. Earlier than that, though, what an organization to learn from, particularly some of the people. It's just an amazing, amazing thing. That's where I really learned about the road to the sale, the process, numbers, relationships, and doing things differently. Like you mentioned with the $2 bill. What an amazing marketing idea.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, that's. Is it okay if we use that offline?
Absolutely. Here, the thing is nothing that I'm going to talk to you about is copyrighted or patented. And the fact that I talk to salespeople and they listen to it but don't pay attention to it is beyond me. It is a unique differentiator in a very muddied lake is what I'd call it, right? I mean, there's just so many moving pieces.
Yeah.
And so if you can do anything to provide a way to make yourself unique and different, and a $2 bill, who cares? And by the way, the dealerships pay for the postage.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend it either. I'd keep it because when I see them and get them, I hang on to them. I got a whole bunch of them. We had a guest named Sean Raines not too long ago on the show, and he came up with some really off the wall stuff, but it made people, so curious. Talking about, coming on in and get a Twinkie or something like that. I mean, it's really just like off the wall stuff. So I met you several years ago.
Correct.
I want to know a little bit more about Spirion, LoJack, your company, Ikon, some of the differentiators between those. But in my opinion, the times that we have met in person, you're the consummate professional. The way you walk, talk, the way you dress, how you interact with people, you're a relationship guy. You're pouring back into lifting people up as well. Those are some of the characteristics or traits of somebody that's really good in sales. And unfortunately, a lot of times there's a negative connotation with sales, but it is a profession.
It is.
It's not something you fall into. I fell into it. You fell into it. But then we somebody takes us under their wing and we start earning this money, and hey, we figured out, and we go through a lot of growing pains. I'm not going to take you down the wormholes that I went through, although I'd like to hear some of the wormholes you went through. But I'm just curious, was, as you got into sales and stuff like that, we see a lot of things in automotive, but these are some of the finest men and women in the world are in this industry. And you think it's a huge, huge industry, and it's really, really not. But there's, since COVID, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of theft with vehicles. And of course, we are about fixed operations. We're about variable. We're about finance. We're about aftermarket. We're about BDC. But instead of collectively as one unit, a team, and we know that there's a lot of thefts out there, a lot of carjackings and stuff like that. I personally, and I think all of you out there listening, Charity included, that you hear, now, I know a lot more about Ikon today, and we're going to dig off into a little bit about that too, but Spirion and LoJack, everybody hears LoJack. Can you talk a little bit about that? Educate our people out there.
Okay, so yes. So the product that I sold when I was in F&I was called Skylink. And for some of our legacy folks that are on the that are listening to the podcast, they're going to remember Skylink. And it was owned by a company called IntelX. One of the principal investors in IntelX was Larry Van Tile. So naturally, it went into all the stores, whether it was a preload or it was sold in a 1-for-1 or off the shelf scenario. So Spirion's major footprint is in the buy here, pay here space. And what they could never achieve was being able to inject themselves into the franchise car space. Plus, Spirion wanted the drive time business, which their device is called LoJack on the buy here, pay here side. So that's how this all happened. IntelX was purchased by Spirion. The vice president for IntelX he came into the store and we were talking, and I remember I said, hey, I said, you know, what's the toughest thing for you as the vice president of sales for IntelX? And he says, well, you know, it's finding folks that are in automotive that can move out of automotive and still be able to maintain a high number of sales and follow-up, right? Because I think a lot of automotive guys wait for folks to come in, right? And that's it. They don't have to go out and find. So the hunting side can be a bit difficult. So I was hired, went to work for Spirion. We sold the Skylink product for a good while. What really was a catalyst for me at Spirion was Peoria Ford had a used car purchased from identity theft, and they self-insure, is my understanding, on used cars. And so it was one of those King Ranch, Mac Daddy Ford trucks. And so it was a $65,000 hit on his P&L. And so that's tough to come back from. And so Pat Hickey agreed to preload, really made it a high priority in finance. And when the other dealers started to see, a 70-75% pen rate, along with contributions to their reinsurance, it became very interesting. So we signed up a ton of stores in Texas, Florida, out here in Arizona, and things were going fine. And I think, like a lot of hungry salespeople, I was recruited by another company called Connected Dealer Services, a good group of guys. Unfortunately, the opportunity was misrepresented, and we had some leadership changes. And so what I saw within the company was folks that had never caught an up, never spun a deal, never written service, really had never done anything in automotive besides working in the telematics division for Verizon. And so there was some nepotism that went on where the chief revenue officer at the time was hiring colleagues that he had worked with. And why not? I mean, you want to insulate yourself with people that you know and trust. And so after 4 years and working really hard with them, we decided to part ways. And honestly, I really felt as though my time in the GPS space had closed. And so I spent about a year just reevaluating, taking some time for myself. And a very good friend of mine, Jay Law, who works with me, he covers the East Coast. He just kept hitting me up. And I kept saying, look, I just don't know as though I care to do this. I'm trying to find something that really puts me more on the fixed operations side, mostly because when I was in sales, I made a lot of money through the service drive. And I just felt like my best customers came from the service drive. They didn't come from Auto Trader, Cars.com, or newspaper listings or whatever we were doing to get folks in. I felt like they already had a relationship. So that barrier for rapport had already been broken down, right? There was a trust through the service writer. And so, but he called me at 7:30 on a Friday night, and he's on the East Coast. That's 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Better be important, man.
Yeah. And he spent 3 hours talking with me, and we talked about everything: golf, personal life, family life, work. We both worked at Spirion together. And the reason why I flew out and I met with our owner, Sam, and the leadership team is a couple of reasons with Ikon. Number one, everything that we do is on consignment. So there's no upfront capital expense to the dealer. If you're going to do business with LoJack, and by the way, Spirion bought the LoJack name, and Spirion has since been purchased by Solera. So I'll just leave it at that. If you know Solera, you know. So, but there's an entry point issue with these device companies. So they're simply put, they're hardware companies. And when we did forecast calls, we talked about how many devices were shipped, not how many were sold. that doesn't do the dealer any good.
That's right.
Plus, they're talking about their brand. At Spirion, it was Skylink, Kahoo, and then LoJack. At CDS, it was Elo GPS, right? But we were never talking about the dealer. So he said, number one, everything's on consignment. So that $65, $75 charge on every single car that has to be paid before you've ever started selling GPS is eliminated. And number two, everything that the customer sees is branded for the dealer. So I'm going to say this, and I could get in some hot water, but you know what? The dealers continue to try and dictate the terms of which customers communicate with them. They've got sloppy websites that don't work that well. You want to set a service appointment, you have to go to a website, you have to make a phone call, you end up in voicemail hell is what I call it. It's not because a service writer isn't interested in taking your call, it's because he's got multiple ROs open. He's trying to get people back, trying to get his loaners back, trying to get the next car in, et cetera. And so I always say to the dealers, I'm like, why don't you have an app? American Express has an app, USAA has an app, Fox News has an app. All of these different companies have apps, and 81% of the traffic on a cell phone is done through an app. Why do you not have an app? Right. And so when I meet with dealers and they'll even say things like this, they'll say, well, you know, I've got Ford Pass or I have OnStar. You know, newsflash, Ford has Ford Pass. Nissan has Nissan Connect. GM has OnStar.
That's right.
The OEMs have that. You don't have that. They own your data. They own your customers. They do with it what they want. And oh, by the way, it's very difficult to schedule a service appointment to the selling dealer through the apps, OEM apps. And most importantly, they can push them to any dealer that the OEM wants to put them
That's
to,
correct.
right? And so what we've done at Ikon is we just said, hey, look, we've got a cool device. It does all of the lot management, plus we track keys, blah, blah, blah. I've done that for 8 years, not the key part, but the lot management. That's simple and easy for us, mitigates any of the risk, and gives 100% visibility into owner operator as to what's going on with all of his cars, loaner cars, borrowed car agreements, test drives, identity theft purchases, smash and grabs, folks that won't come back and re-sign, that won't bring in STIPs, et cetera, any funding delays. So we just take care of all that. We automate battery reports. And if you manage that, you're not replacing batteries. But what's most important is that everything that the customer sees is branded specifically for the dealership. So now the dealership is able to put their brand on their customer's phone, of which we know a customer is in and out of their phone a minimum 96 times a day. They're spending 5.5 hours on their phone. And oh, by the way, you know, with all of that, 81% of all traffic is based, you know, through apps. And so we're now giving the dealer the vehicle, no pun intended, that their customers want. And, you know, what can you do on the app? All this normal stuff, boundary alerts, speed alerts, trip history, stolen vehicle recovery. All of those items are.
It's not the dealer's website. It is an app with the dealer's. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and where it's best for the dealer is on the second tab. It has a My Dealer section. And in the My Dealer section, we list 100% of the dealer's inventory. We do that using an API bridge. So it's all of the dealer's photos, description, Carfax auto check on the used cars. They can set service appointments. They can link into roadside assistance, make a call to roadside assistance, hours of operation, directions to the dealer, et cetera. And what we find, Russell, is when we pull the information, seeing the most activity on the My Dealer side, on the dealer consumer app, it's there's 5 times more activity looking at the dealer's inventory. So when you have, big groups, right? Or even a store that has 300 or 400 cars in inventory, and we talk about repeat referral business, which doesn't work. The easiest way to do repeat and referral business is a customer just opens up their app and they start scrolling through and looking at the dealer's inventory. And they can search by make and model. They can see the price of the vehicle and all the information. And in a lot of cases, if a dealer wants us to, we can actually pipe in that customer's information and what they were looking at when they were looking at that. So
you see, this is the reason, one of the many reasons, but the primary reason, because I'm on all kinds of, you name it, podcasts, Zoom calls, Clubhouse, masterminds, etc. And I hear LoJack, and all they know in these things is a theft deterrent thing. Mm-hmm. What you just shared with us, this is all part of what Ikon does.
That's correct. And I mean, The stolen vehicle recovery item, how we recover vehicles has been dictated to us by law enforcement. So with LoJack, you have to call the police, get a case number, then you have to call LoJack. So now you're dealing with a call center, and there's a variable in that, the human variable. Then the call center has to call 911 again. And what we do is the customer calls 911, they get a case number, they get an email address to apppolice.com or whatever it is. And then we just share a 72-hour access, and it goes directly to the laptop in the cruiser. So our average recovery time is 22 minutes, 99.7% success rate. We recover cars all the time. So the stolen vehicle recovery component, great. If we can't find a car in 30 days, we have a $10,000 theft benefit for the dealer's customers. $2,000 direct to the dealer. $8,000 has to be spent at the dealership.
So they got to come back to the dealership.
And it's a reinsurance friendly product. So, if you have dealers that are saying, okay, the state attorney generals and the FTC, they're looking at things like etch. We need to find a replacement that has that same low loss ratio, but we need to bring greater value to our customers. Then this is a likely place. Again, from a branding perspective, and you know this, and anybody in advertising, and I challenge dealers to do this. Call your digital ad agency, tell them that you want your customers to see your logo 96 times a day for 3 years for under $200. And it's not even available. And the thing is, Russell, we're leveraging the miles off of the car. So with LoJack and with the other connected car solutions, they dump data on the dealers. The dealers, they really have one purpose in life in 3 different areas. It's to sell cars, sell service, and sell parts. It's not to mine data. So we have a patented smart marketing platform, and we communicate with the dealers' customers, certainly with their insight, via text message marketing. We don't use push notifications because they can be turned off. And our fixed ops marketing is still in its infant stages, but if you can imagine, at no cost to fixed operations, we're providing on average a 12% conversion rate. These are free leads, free appointment setups. We're doing all the heavy lifting, and it's all included in the program, right? And so one of the things, and where you and I seem to really see eye to eye is our dealerships have been in a COVID coma for 3 years. Inventory issues, $8, $10, $12, $15,000 a rattle. I can price my car with whatever, but that is going to change.
It is starting to, yeah.
It's already starting to. So I go into CDJR stores. They got a bunch of cars. Chevy stores got a bunch. Ford's coming back. 2 that I see are still struggling, Toyota and Honda, but even Nissan's got starting to have heavy inventories. And so when I talk to these GMs, I go, hey man, you really need to start to figure out how you're going to future-proof. And I know that's a cliche, but you've got to figure out how to future-proof your business. And the number one way to future-proof your business is to get on a level and a connection with your customer at the right time. I'm a consumer too. Every time I take my car to get an oil change, I get a coupon. 2 weeks later, it would have saved me $20. Hey, $20 is $20.
That's
I'm
right.
in the industry, so I'm going to forgive them. And I still receive coupons for cars that I traded in 4 years ago to the selling dealer.
Yep. I know.
Right? And
it is so the extended warranty stuff, all that stuff. I mean, it's and I'm going somewhere in just a minute, but Charity, do you have a question?
Sure. Well, I could pivot you guys in a different direction if you don't.
Pivot
don't
if you
mind
like.
that.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, there's something you hit on a little earlier, Barton, that piqued my curiosity, and it's about sales, right? So it's from my perception, it seems like it's a very difficult job to do. A lot of salespeople even miss it themselves. So my question to you is, what is it that makes a good salesperson? What do you have to go out of the box and do to be really good at your job? Hello, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to say a few words about our new sponsor, WYNN'S. People who love cars love WYNN'S. With over 80 years of experience in innovation, WYNN'S leads the industry with product and system innovations that drive vehicle performance and longevity. WYNN'S leads through our innovation, our technology, and the products we create. We bring a legacy of superior performance that professional service providers trust through our heritage of innovative formulas and unparalleled service. It starts with fuel and oil, and it ends with excellence. Our dedication to research and development has led to more than 18,000 granted and pending patents across our company. And that drive continues today at WYNN'S. New vehicle technology like EV requires leading edge service and products. WYNN'S ensures our products meet EV requirements and still provide the same high level of protection that we've always offered. We meet tomorrow's needs by using our knowledge and technology today. WYNN'S brings innovative, technically advanced, professional grade solutions to the world. Our legacy of innovation and performance is always copied, but never outrun. So thank you, WYNN'S, for sponsoring the What the FixedOPS podcast.
Number one.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Get a pen
All
and
of you
paper.
out there,
Write this down.
pause,
Write this down.
If you don't have a pen or pencil, we'll wait. Okay, that's long enough. Get your pen and pencil. Go ahead, Barton. Seriously.
Answer the phone. Just answer the phone. And when I worked at Arrowhead Cadillac, I worked for a gentleman. His name is Rick Mavis, and that's spelled Meewes. It was the best blocker for reps that were trying to sell into the dealership, because they'd say, "I'm here to see Rick Mewes," and we knew already they didn't know Rick. And I met Rick on a flight back from Maui. Yeah, we were coming back from Maui. I'd been on a vacation and played golf with Rick, hung out with him. He's the one that asked me to come and work in F&I with him. And what I will say is this, is Rick Mavis is the single greatest influence in my professional development as a salesperson. And one of the things that I live by, and it was these were framed up prints on all the walls in the finance office and around the dealership: do what's right, be committed, treat others how you want to be treated. So Charity, you said, what makes her a great salesperson? Answer the phone. Listen to your customer and try and figure out what their needs are. And this is all cliche stuff. We talk about it in sales meetings. And follow up after the sale. And don't always make it about what you're trying to sell. Try and get some sort of human connection with these individuals at some level, right? You want repeat referral business? Try and figure out what's going on in that person's life and be genuinely interested in their life instead of genuinely interested in what your agenda is. There are people that say no to me quite often, a lot. And you know what? And I get it. I'm not everything to everybody, but even people that say no to me, I'm still friendly with them, right? I'm still not burning bridges. I'm not, when we talk, it's not all about, enough about me, but let's talk about me for a while. So, be a good salesperson, answer the phone, take a genuine interest in somebody else's life and what they're up to, and ask more questions and try and figure out what's important to them, right? You'll uncover a lot of the information that you need to facilitate your agenda by simply taking a genuine interest in someone else.
It's so, Charity, what a great question. What a great response, Barton. It makes me think of, photo albums that people have, when families come together. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen now because of all the thousands of pictures on the phone. It's like I have them because I think my kids or my grandkids, they're not going to give two flips about those things. But the photo albums, okay, or any of us, when we're sitting around looking at phones, sharing pictures, etc., and there's a group of us in there, the first thing that the person that's looking at the picture looks at is how they look in the picture. So, and the same thing, if we show, if you treat the customer right and ask the right questions, they'll tell you everything you need to know to assist them to make the most intelligent purchase for whatever their needs, wants, and desires are, whether it's safety or performance, lighter colors, darker colors, replacing, adding, all those things come into play. But you get them talking about themselves, then they like you, they trust you, they believe you, and they'll buy from you. They're there for a reason. They're looking for somebody to pay attention to them. That's really what you're saying too, isn't it?
It is. And, So when we talk about that personal touch, so I'm going to go back to Ikon just from
Sure,
a personal experience. So I drive a Honda, just a little Honda Accord. I set a service appointment through the Honda Link app, of which it asked me which of the 12 Honda stores I wanted to go to. Then I followed that up with going to the dealer's website. They use X time. I went through the 30 different fields to get that done. It was a 7 a.m. appointment. I needed that because I had to go out. 25 minutes later, Russell, nobody did help me out. I had done everything that the OEM and the dealer had asked me to do, and it didn't work. And, you know, with Ikon, you know, if the Honda dealership, and I'm not going to mention their name, but they're in Scottsdale and they're right down the street from me. If the Honda dealer would have just had a dealer branded app, like what we offer, I could have set my oil change and been done in 30 seconds. But instead, I went through the Honda Link app, which, oh, by the way, it still says I have 14,000 miles on my car and a quarter tank of gas. I've now got 16,500 miles on my car and a full tank. So that thing doesn't update. That's not right. And then I also went to the dealer's website, and I was frustrated because, yes, I didn't get service and I waited 25 minutes, but really I was frustrated because I followed the necessary steps as dictated by the OEM and the dealer, and it still didn't work. And our customers, our dealers that are using our dealer branded app, they're not having these difficulties. And it is a direct tie into CSI. Hey, newsflash, bought 4 cars from that dealership, won't ever go back to buy another car. I'm sorry, but
Things,
you know, yeah,
things are changing.
and I won't have the car service. And by the way, the other dealership is, you know, probably an extra 3 miles out of the way, the other direction.
And you'll gladly drive it too, won't you?
That's right. I will. Listen. These are the things when I'm talking to a dealer, I'm like, okay, we can talk about stolen vehicle recovery. Whoop-de-doo. All right. But let's look at your addendum. What does your addendum do for you besides a one and done? Okay. So you're going to put wheel locks on, hard cost, window tint, hard cost, edge guards, cup guards, trunk trays, all-weather floor mats. These all have a hard associated cost. And if a customer doesn't buy it, what happens? You eat it.
That's right.
So here we have an addendum product. It's on consignment. It doesn't cost you anything. And unlike everybody else, I'm giving you the lot management plus the key tracking all at no cost.
Yeah. And you know, listen, there's a tremendous flip side to that, which even though we met years ago, another mutual friend got us back together 6-8 months ago or something like that. And you saw what we were doing, because we think that there's a paradigm shift more than any other time in history regarding service, parts, and accessories. And repeat, referral, and retention, keeping the customer coming back. It's like, are you serious? They don't get it. When you talk about their website and the customer's experience, like what you talked about, you click and all the clicks more than 3 times, people already have anxiety and they're already flustered. And the fact that people aren't picking up the phones, you know, you don't have this information, that information. So when Barton and I got back together and I showed him what FixedOPS marketing was doing, and this guy, he's a stud. He thinks so far outside of the box. He started, next thing I know, we're talking. He's talking about the synergies, okay, and strategic partnership with things that we can do to deliver to keep those people coming back based upon time, not just mileage, but I mean time and mileage. Excuse me, because Ikon has the exact mileage on their vehicle, right? So we know
it's the exact mileage on the car. The smart marketing is set up with our smart marketing team. They work directly with the dealer, and so when I looked at FixedOPS marketing, and I know that the COVID hangover is what I call it, is coming to a close.
Yeah.
If you're a dealer and you're proactively thinking about where you're going to be in the next 5 to 10 years, especially when we have seen companies like Tesla go direct to market, and some other electric car companies, Lucid, et cetera, you know, if the OEMs could do away with the dealers, they would. I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, I mean, you make all the money on the parts, you know, you make all the money on the service, you make a greater margin to the customer, you get rid of the dealers and all that, you know, all of the, what they perceive to be as headaches. I mean, OEMs would have nothing without franchise stores, which,
that's right.
And if you really get in the weeds with a dealer, especially if you've had a glass or 2 of wine, I mean, they will tell you point blank what they really think. Yeah, you might want an NDA, right? But they'll tell you. And so when I look at FixedOPS marketing, I think to myself, okay, so you've got everything that we need from a digital perspective to connect with the customers when we send out a text message, to give them a definition and understanding why they would want to do a full synthetic, how that compares from a pricing perspective to some of the Jiffy Lubes and other little pot lots. And the thing is the dealers lose a lot of that business, especially after their first free oil change, right? And so, and of course, like you've said, I'm programmed to go to Discount Tire, but you know what? I can get better deals at my dealer. I just didn't know that. And why is that? Because Discount Tire does a better job marketing. And so I go back to the coupon thing. I'm a busy guy. I'm on the road 40 plus weeks out of the year visiting with dealers. If it's time for an oil change, I just want to get a text message. I want to be able to click on the link, understand what the service is, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, as recommended by the OEM. And then I just want to go back to an app and set an appointment for whatever day and time works well for me. And then I just want to show up to the dealership and know what it is. And the other item that we can do is Russell, if a dealer is really good at getting outside of their preferred marketing area, they've got a long reach, we can provide deeper discounts based upon their zip code, right? And so when I think about FixedOPS marketing, I think, well, if we can put together a partnership, which I know we're very close on doing, we can walk into a store, Russell. We can re-engage dormant customers that the dealer hasn't had any interaction with for 90 days. Subsequently, during those 90 days, we can be selling this solution to the customer. Hey, why not? We have a connected car solution, a 22-minute recovery time. You can view our inventory, set your service appointments. And oh, by the way, if the car's stolen, not recovered, we've got a $10,000 theft benefit. From a payment perspective, it's probably going to cost you 25 cents a day over the life of the loan. Not a big deal. That's even if you don't want a GPS, you'll take $10,000.
No, nobody's thinking like that. Which is one of the reasons why I had to want, because this isn't your mommy daddy's low jack theft deterrent system.
No,
that works half-assed time, whatever the case. This is revolutionizing fixed operations today, which all of you out there listening are talking about. What can we do to stop the bleeding? To all the 16 non-franchised entities that our people are going to. And yes, like Barton said, Discount Tire, phenomenal job marketing, but also tires, wiper blades, and rims. But beyond that, nobody's better equipped to handle any and all services than your franchise dealer. And to have a complete solution like this that delivers stuff at particular times and mileage to that consumer, it has to do with the experience. You got to change the experience. You got to do something that nobody else is doing. You have to do that.
You have to. You've got to. And here's the thing. The older buyers are getting older and the younger buyers are getting older. And we're still living in this analog world in automotive, and there's no reason for it. You've got all these different solutions, none of which talk to each other. And here we come in and we go, look, our average take rate, penetration rate, whatever you want to call it, for our dealerships nationwide is 63%. That's a high take rate. That
Say it again. Say that number again.
63%. 63%. And a lot of our bigger groups are shifting to a hard ad model where every car is packed with it. Parts and service gets a little bit of it, but hey, you know what? You service directors out there, fixed ops directors, because it's on consignment, we don't even require a PO from your parts guy. He doesn't even need to manage the inventory. We ship it out. We don't even charge for shipping and handling. All the devices come individually packaged. So you just hand it to your PDI tech. It's an 8 to 10 minute installation on domestic brands, a little longer for some of your BMWs, Mercedes, but nothing more than 30 minutes. Generally, they're making money on the installation. So why is this good for a dealer? Well, it's good for a dealer for a couple of reasons. And why is it good for fixed ops? Because fixed ops makes money installing, and fixed ops makes all the money on the appointments that we set, using actionable data and communicating with the customer at the right time. That is the differentiator between you and any other Chevy store in your market, any other Ford store in your market, et cetera. It's your brand, it's your customers, and you own all the data. We don't sell the data. We don't share the data with anybody. It doesn't go to a third-party source. We don't monetize that. The dealer's data is theirs. And what a dealer can't do is a dealer can't mine data. I guess they can hire a company at $8,000 to $10,000 to help them mine that data, but we do all that included. And oh, by the way, you're listing 100% of your inventory. I did have lunch with a friend of mine that runs a store for a large auto group here in Phoenix. I simply asked him what his average spend is per month on a corporate agreement. How about $8,000 a month for Auto Trader, $8,000 a month for cars.com? He's $16,000 in the rear the day he opens up his doors on the first of the month, right? And so getting with large dealer groups, those that have 5, 8, 10,000 cars in inventory, every customer needs to lead with that app. Why not? You've got 10,000, you got 10,000 opportunities to do business, and you can start to, and I don't know why they're so beholden to Auto Trader and cars.com. If you don't have the right price, you're not going to get the best listing.
It's a mental thing. So let me ask you, because there are, the companies you mentioned earlier, and when I started finding out more and more about Ikon, and then of course, what we're trying to do together, which we are going to do together. My question is can you say this to our audience regarding Ikon and the technologies and what it's doing, not only for the sales, but particularly for the service side of things? Is there anybody else even playing in the lake with you?
No, there's not. There's some that might paint a picture that they can achieve the same
results. But it's just a painting, right?
Yeah, it's smoke and mirrors. And here's the thing, our catchphrase on the slide decks that I send out to dealers, we're founded by dealers for dealers. So this is going to really differentiate us from other folks. Here's the thing, IT and engineering doesn't dictate to the dealers what the dealers should be doing. So we take input from our dealers. So I have a call with our CTO and one of our dealers to look at adding an additional feature to the dealer branded app, because he has a maintenance program. So he wants to tie that in, and he wants to be able to show each one of the oil changes that the customer has used to keep count, right? So founded by dealers, for dealers. 85% of our sales and service folks have worked in automotive, any customer facing role, customer facing meaning folks that go into dealerships. They have either sold cars, or they have written service, or they have been a mechanic, right? And so
makes a difference, man.
Yeah, it does. And so we don't have people that go into stores with the sole agenda of talking about Ikon, because remember, Ikon's barely visible. It's all the dealer branded app. We have individuals that know how to behave and conduct themselves in a store that are speaking the same language that car dealers speak to each other, right? And so when you look at the other providers, a lot of these folks are tech people wanting to play in the high volume space without a unique understanding of what it takes to operate and work in a store, and trying to bridge the gap between fixed operations and variable operations.
I've met a lot of vendors out there, and I hear about it almost every morning because I'm literally on multiple shows every morning before I even get my first call from somebody at the company. And it's always, as a matter of fact, it was yesterday morning, they were talking about vendors coming in that have never sold or serviced or had anything to do with automotive, talking to them about this product to serve their space, and they don't know anything about. And people out there like us, they know it instantly when you start talking to them. And I was so impressed, and it's so refreshing to have somebody like you that has that level of experience, and a couple of other people I talked to as well. But I have to mention this. So I was invited by Barton, set up a meeting at their corporate office in Arlington, I think is where it was.
That's correct.
And I was so impressed. I didn't know how long the meeting was going to be. I suspected 30, 45 minutes. It's just a little over 2 hours, from the owner of the company and all the top execs of the whole entire company were in there, because Barton planted this seed, and it just resonated and made so much sense. And it's just, and we're figuring it out. And Charity, you got a question?
Sure. Well, let's see. How about, why don't you tell us a little bit about your love of golf and how that might overlap into sales? Tell us about that.
Yeah. See, and do you have a family? You married and got kids? Those are important things.
We are passionate about helping consumers find a great, trusted place to get their car fixed. We have 4 million uniques who come to our website each month for car repair information, and we help them find our REPAIRPAL certified locations. We also have amazing partners like USAA that offer our REPAIRPAL certified network to their customers and members. So how are we going to help dealers? Well, dealers sell 100% of the cars, But over time, after the warranty expires, the repairs go up and up and the revenue potential goes up. But people keep leaving the dealer over time after the warranty. By years 10 or 12, only about 20% of people are still servicing at the dealer. Why is that? There's one dominant reason, and that is price perception. And being REPAIRPAL certified helps you overcome the primary price perception problem. So come let us show you how REPAIRPAL can help you too.
So no longer married, although she and I are good friends.
Excellent.
We chose not to have children. I didn't get married till I was 41. I mean, coming out of the Navy, a 22-year-old freshman at San Diego State. I mean, the idea of getting married was of no interest. And then when I got in the professional world, by the time I got to 30, friends of mine that got married at 22 were getting divorced. I'm like, I don't want any part of that mess.
Yeah, been there, done that.
But happily single. Great thing for the agents and dealers that I work with, because my phone's on 24/7. I can get anywhere within 24 to 48 hours. As far as golf goes, hey, Russell, I wanted to play professional basketball. I grew up in Dallas, big time Mavericks fan. Hell, my dad sold billboards to Don Carter in 1979 for the 1980 inaugural season for the Dallas Mavericks. So big Roy Tarpley, Rolando Blackman, Brad Davis, Mark Aguirre. I mean, that old school squad that took the Lakers to 7 games. Just that's what I want to do. My dad played golf, and so I'd wake up on a Saturday and go, well, hey, Mom, where's Dad? She'd say, well, 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. And so I took up golf because I wanted to spend time with my father. It was after my 8th grade year. Well, between 8th and 9th grade, my dad hooked me up with a free job at a driving range. I had to go pick up balls and sand the tee line. And in perpetuity, I could hit as many golf balls as I wanted. And so for me, golf became very, very important. And the nice thing is I excelled at it, and I was willing to work at it and put in the hours and the time that maybe a lot of folks didn't. So fast forward, I'm 48 years old. My handicap is as high as it's been in 20 years. I think I'm a 1.7 or 2. Why is this good for dealers? Because and FixedOPS guys, I have an expense account, so I'm not trying to publicize that, but
I forgot.
to spend a couple of $100 for 4 hours, and I promise you this: we will spend about 15 to 20 minutes talking about Ikon at the end of the round.
Oh, yeah.
During the round, we're probably going to talk about everything else, because I'm just as interested in friendships and relationships as I am managing my quota.
It's funny. I'm not a golfer, and I don't know a lot. My dad loved it. Unfortunately, he's not around. I didn't get ever an opportunity to really play with him, except when I was really young, 9-hole and stuff that he taught me. But it's funny that Charity asked you that question, because Charity, I can't tell you how many times I'm on the phone with Barton, and he's either on the golf cart, on the golf course, on his way to the golf course, just leaving the golf course, flying to some place to play golf with some clients or something like that. I mean, you got a really tough life being single.
That's probably the best sales pitch I've ever heard.
I love it.
Yeah. It's all priority. And here's the good news. Nobody cares what you shoot. So I used to be kind of intense on the golf course. Now when I hit a bad one, I'm just like, well, I won't remember that in a week. Heck, I probably won't even remember that tomorrow. So, and other than that, Russell, I'd like to try and stay involved in some philanthropic work, specifically with some of the veterans associations here in town. Do some stuff with the homeless. Just have a nice network of friends here in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, and just really blessed, right? And a big shout out to Ikon. It's the first company where my voice is heard. It's a company that really takes in, digests, and really tries to figure out how we can position ourselves to make ourselves the friendliest and easiest vendor to work with. Like the GSM for Classic Chevrolet and Grapevine, the biggest Chevy dealer, one of the biggest Chevy dealers in the country. I mean, he just says, our issues are their issues. They treat us like family, really our favorite vendor. And so when we get feedback from high volume stores and groups where they're just genuinely happy that we answer the phone and we do what we say we're going to do. We're committed. We treat people the way we want to be treated. Thank you, Rick Mavis, for that. That's a really, really good place. Right. And so, we're lucky. And like I said, Russell, I just what you're doing and how we compare the two up with the digital messaging, with the videos, to me, it feels like it's a really, really big win for the dealer. And at the end of the day, and I hate that saying, but it is true, at the end of the day, and I'll quote our owner, if it doesn't benefit our dealer directly, we're not interested in doing it. And so that's going to be the difference between us and all the other tech companies that are out there is that our owner is an owner operator, and thus he sees everything through the lens of someone that's operating a store. Wow. Right. And so
he's such an amazing guy too. Very humble, shows.
He does a lot of philanthropic work through the University of Texas, Arlington. He gave a commencement speech. We're fully involved in the community and community outreach. For the dealers that have said no to me, I'm sorry that I failed you because I didn't convey a powerful enough message. I would not ever bring someone on to our platform that I didn't feel like was going to be successful. And I just, at the end of the day, Russell, all we're really asking for is an opportunity to share the vision of what we're doing. And it's not going to be an overnight fix, but you better start today and not 3 years down the road. Because I remember my desk manager in 2001, I said, hey, there's this thing called the internet. Have you heard of it? He's like, yeah, it's stupid. And I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, we do full page color ads in the newspaper. We do radio, we do TV. And now 97% of our leads go directly through the internet. And the average customer visits 1.2 dealerships to buy a car when they used to go to 4. So why wouldn't you want to start the connection through your service drive so they don't go to that one other dealership, what happens to not be you? And that's not a sales pitch. It's me saying, for goodness sakes, you got to get on the fast track or you're going to get left behind. We saw what happened in 2008 with all the dealers going out of business or the franchise agreements being canceled. Future-proof your business and get it started through your parts and service department. Variable will always sell cars, but your retention and the love that your customer will have for you starts with your service writer and starts with the customer experience through the service drive. It's where the customers spend the most time, and start communicating with them in a way they want to be communicated with, and use and leverage the data off of the car so that you don't miss opportunities and they don't pull in to a Jiffy Lube.
Well said, Barton. We did it to ourselves. We've done it to ourselves over the last 20 or 30 years. And so this is what I think. And I know much more about Ikon and what Barton's doing, what he stands for, character, integrity, professionalism as well. But an opportunity is not an opportunity when everybody thinks it is. You see, they've already missed it. Okay. So Ikon is an opportunity that you probably don't even hear about because the dealer has their own apps. So you're going to hear a lot more. This is engaging. I'm going to be engaging people in the morning. When I hear about LoJack and theft deterrent, I'm going to start educating people, and I'm going to point them to these segments when they roll out. Hey, it's time to do things different. And you shed a lot of light on that today, Barton, and we're real appreciative of that. And no, your time is short too. We didn't get a chance to hardly get to any of the questions. Sherry, do you have
yes, we could do a rattle off, like 5 quick questions, five quick answers. I know that it's hard to believe anything would be fast, as I've been a little long-winded, Charity, but come on, bring them. Bust them out. Let's go.
Well, they're probably not going to have those sort of simple answers, but I will ask you one or maybe two. If you weren't in sales, what else would you be doing?
Wow, good question.
What other career path?
Yeah, it's always been a dream of mine to own a restaurant and bar. not so I can sit around and drink Tito's and sodas all day. But because I love to wow people with great customer service.
Wow.
And I think when you go to restaurants and things now, and everybody's trying to hire, et cetera, I just feel like that you can outrun mediocrity by providing outstanding service communication. So there you go. I'd love to own a restaurant and bar, not looking to leave Ikon, but in my next life, I'd love to do that. And I love to cook. I don't know why I'm good at cooking. It just comes easy to me. So there you go. Yeah.
Great.
Next question.
What do the next 5 to 10 years look like for you? What are your goals?
Next 5 to 10 years. So, if Sam will have me, I'd like to stay at Ikon for the next 5 to 10 years. And what I'd really like to do is basically create an encyclopedia of success stories for dealers that I'm working with. Success in growing their business, growing their retention, and success connecting inside the community. So, and I'm hopeful in the next 10 years at 48 to start to slow down at 58 or 60 and start to look and see what the next chapter is. I know that the next job that I have isn't, for me is going to hopefully be more of I have a lot of fun, but it probably won't be automotive related. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, last one for you. What do you think are some myths about the automotive industry?
Number one myth, that getting your car serviced at a dealership is more expensive than a Jiffy Lube. I call BS on that. I hear it from all of the guys I play golf with. I just go to a Jiffy Lube. I'm like, why? Why would you want some kid that's in a hot cave underneath the car changing your oil when you can get a OEM oil filter and have an ASC certified, or at least a lube tech that's, moving towards getting his certifications,
Right. Mm-hmm.
wrenching on your car. And then the second thing is, the other myth is that, people say, oh, all car dealers are bad people. Well, they're not. I've got a lot of great friends that are in the car business.
Best people
and to label someone just a car salesman, I mean, what a crock. That is such baloney. Take it this way, Mr. Customers out there. If you are a little kinder to your salesperson, I think that your sales process might be a little nicer to you as well. We're all just humans. We all have families. We all have things outside of work. For goodness sakes, the dealers are there to help you have a wonderful ownership experience,
Right.
and give them the opportunity to do that, and stop trying to make it, you need to earn my business. And oh, by the way, salespeople, get rid of that statement. What do I have to do to earn your business today?
Oh,
Just give them the facts and figures and let them make a good decision. And if you're a really great salesperson, you're going to have plenty of B-backs.
That's right. That's right. Well,
Yeah, I
love
gotta
the way-
say, I took my car down to a Jiffy Lube and I got air filter and oil change. They left about 50 leaves in my air filter. And I'm not.
They're just not going to do a good job. What they do is they set up around dealerships and in areas where there's a high visibility, a lot of, and so, if somebody goes in, they say, hey, look, I need to get an oil change. Do you have an appointment? Like the guy's a jerk for not setting an appointment. No, I don't. Well, we can't see you for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or how about this? You walk in, or you roll in, you have an appointment, but you're going to have to wait because somebody else is in front of you. I mean, whatever. It's all about meeting the customer that, okay, we're out of time. So you have about a minute, Barton.
Mhm.
Tell people whatever you'd like. Say whatever you'd like to say. How do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely.
Not only people want to know more about Ikon, but you also gathered that he's single too and likes to travel. So maybe you get some calls.
Ladies.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Happy to come out to any dealership. I'll fly there, come to your store. If I got to buy lunch to get a meeting, I'm happy to do it. You can reach me at 480-392-6620. It's 480-392-6620. Think of me as the iPhone. It's more of an information gathering session. It's not a sales pitch. I can't really sell anything when I'm giving it away for free. And if we feel like there's some synergy and ability to work together, we can do that. And if you're not interested, you can say no, and then you just don't hear from me again.
Yeah, it's
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
but Barton is a follow-up guy too. So
yeah, I am.
I mean, we all expect that because so few of us do that. So thank you so much.
Thank
Barton
you, Russell.
Harris, Vice President, Strategic Partnerships for Ikon. Charity, and amazing. I mean, without her, none of this is happening. And, listen, thank you, REPAIRPAL, and thank you, WYNN'S. But most of all, thank all of you out there that support, love us, like us, watch us, share us, do the same thing with Barton. You can find them all over LinkedIn. Check them out, the company, what they stand for. Especially, we're going to be doing some stuff together. We thank all of you for another successful WTF, and that's What the Fixed Ops. We'll see you next time.